The month of October usually signifies a change in seasons. The dog days of summer are quickly fading as the cold, crisp nights of autumn and days shorten as we prepare for our new routines of weather. But this season also means that we have a new season of competition heating up at our indoor go-kart track. It's our Endurance Racing Series. Welcome everyone to K1 Speed Canton for round number 2 of the Endurance League. We're glad to have you guys with us. As we're now looking at our drivers who are starting to pick their karts for the qualifier, tonight's format's going to be qualifier and final race. The key thing about this final race is going to be 30 minutes long. Hey Cash, how's it going? It's a testament of the experience of the drivers and also a testament of the lithium batteries in the go-karting age. Hey everybody, my name is James Burley. Alongside of me is Jason Gadowski, and Jason, I have looked forward to this for about 3 weeks now because we have our last Endurance Karting Series championship race was it was so much fun, and I couldn't wait to get back here, so it's great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Super exciting series that we have here, and it is really a testament to the lithium-ion batteries that we have in the karts, and I know tonight especially, just due to weather, it's 40 degrees here in beautiful Northeast Ohio. We changed the format from outdoor track to indoor track, and we'll see if weather changes throughout the race, but I highly doubt it.
Well, you know, and I led the intro with the change of autumn, and the whole plan the whole time was to do this with an outdoor component to the racetrack. We were all set up, ready to go, and literally the rain came back through.
Yep.
So we have a completely wet track. It's not going to be drivable with slick tires, unfortunately. We were hoping to have some sort of wet drying track possibility tonight because the rain showers were supposed to be coming through at certain times, but yeah, it's just not going to work out tonight. So unfortunately,
We'll just have to, you know, it's adaptability. It's one of those things where even the drivers were kind of rooting for half were indoor, half were outdoor, and so I think the indoor people won out just due to Mother Nature tonight. But really good race. The rookie class is back in. Just ran through a couple of actual new faces. So a couple of them actually had never rid or driven the outdoor track, so they were pretty excited about running the indoor when it got announced. So not a bad thing, and everybody's really just raring to go now at this point, so it'll be really good race, I think, especially coming out of the last race.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that some people actually were voting for the indoor track.
Yeah. So 40 degrees is a little chilly, but even, I mean, with a helmet on and everybody you can see is hoodies and jackets and everything like that would have been fine. But coming out of the last race, I mean, it was a really good race. So good to see that we've got a championship kind of brewing right now, and we'll see who takes tonight. Get started with the qualifying here in a second, and we will see how everybody winds up. So it'll be a good race to watch, I think.
So what we're going to be doing is our lap qualifier goes to 7 laps instead of 5 because of the shortened track, and we're going to get those guys rolling here momentarily. And then we're going to go to the 30-minute session. So
yeah. So we'll get a couple things buttoned up here, and we'll be right there.
I'm actually going to stay with you here. It was a last-minute track adjustment. Moving everything from the outdoor track to the indoor track is a little bit of a challenge, so we're going to try to take that on here. As you follow our pits camera, we're one of our racers helping another driver with the pedals, which is great to see. There we have everybody. We have 13 drivers tonight. So we normally run 12, but that's even better. So we've got all 13 people here tonight. Don't have the designation for the rookies yet, but so one of the things that's going to make this unique about the Endurance Racing Series is that we run a rookie class. So that means that if you have not run the 12 Hours of Canton before and you haven't run the endurance racing before, we consider you a rookie, so you can compete against other people in your class. So some of our new guys, including Brentson down there at 13th, and Nolan Ryder, are going to be competing for the rookie championship.
Yeah, catching up with those guys beforehand was a lot of fun. They're very excited to take part in this, and they're very energetic. I told them that definitely if you're not running with the best group, and you're not running, your best line, you're still getting used to the track and everything like that. The best way to do it is to jump behind the guys that have been here for a while and learn the line that way, especially indoors. If they're used to running with their friends in that, it's a lot of fun, but there is a really fast line around the track, and helping people develop that is part of what makes this league so much fun, is that you get a lot of time to do that. And it is the blue flag rule only flies between classes, so pro class to pro class, there's no blue flag. Just be polite as we ask. But if you're rookie, polite. If you're rookie class and you have pro coming up on you, the blue flag flies for that. So just a couple notes for them to help them out a little bit, learn the track and that. But they are competing against themselves. They're competing in their own group, so that does make it really fun for them to compete for the rookie championship.
As we see, David Pons jumps up to the fastest spot of a 26.2. We typically see some indoor times right around the 25 seconds. Maybe we're in the 26s because of a little bit of track temperature. Obviously, it's cooled off quite a bit here. So we'll see as the day progresses here whether we see those lap times drop into the 25th as we follow David Pons in the number 27 machine right now, actually. See what happens when he crosses the timing line. That was a slow lap for him on the last one. Followed by Rachel Hart, and then, of course, we got his friendly name up here tonight, which is Stitch, who is going to jump to the top with a 25.9. There's the first time we see the 25s.
Yeah, I think the times will be coming down as these drivers. They all have a very similar line, different driving style, though, and it's one of those things when the track warms up and as they warm up, they definitely get moving faster. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had more in the 25s.
There's David Pons does the same thing. Yep. He bests himself at 25.9 as well.
And white flag is out now, so we'll see what everybody puts down for their final lap.
Yeah, let's see if Rachel can jump into the 25s too on her last lap. I definitely think she has a contender for that. Dominic, who is one of our rookie classes, already in 4th spot. I mean, talk about getting up to speed really quick.
Yeah, and if you look at the times, I mean, 28s and a couple 28s there, but that's not bad at all. I mean, PJ's at a 28 right now as he jumps to 28.69.
Roman Felber just jumped up to the number 4 spot, bumping down the number 5 and 6 of Dominic and Will. Checkered flag flies, but anybody left on that lap, that will count. I see Nolan Ryder down there at the 9th position. I believe he's our youngest driver tonight, also competing in the rookie class. He was the highest ranked rookie in our last race, so we definitely want to be keeping an eye on him as he progresses tonight. See what he can do. Cash Felber finishing in 8th with a 26.4. Cash was actually our pole sitter last round, so it's a little bit of a surprise to see him down there at 8th, but it also could make the race very interesting, see if he moves up.
Definitely, Cash is one of those people, as we all know. He will work his way through the field as best possible, but he also has, PJ Mannypenny right in front of him. Katie Wise, who started in last race and moved all the way up to 4th, so he's got a lot of contention around him. Plus, he's got his brother Roman Felber in 4th, so there's going to be some movement for sure, but it's going to be interesting to see how it all breaks down.
And Katie Wise, again, and starting in 10th. Last race, we saw her start in last, and she finished 4th.
Yeah.
So, again, maybe not the best qualifier, but obviously an experience and our reigning endurance champion. So
yeah, she's a ton of fun to race with, very, very, very competitive. So I think we'll definitely see her move up in the field. I think she'd be qualifying last in the pro class if I'm not mistaken, but that doesn't mean that she won't be somewhere near the top by the time it's all said and done. So everybody looking at their times down there, and we'll get situated here for a little bit and make sure we get a couple races, maybe a public race or two in between, and then we'll get ready to go for our final.
That's right. We'll be back with you guys just momentarily. Hang on. As we're getting people to their carts, we just want to throw up the current point standings. This is actually after round 1, sorry. Rachel Hart with 16 points, Roman Felber with 15. Even though Roman won the last race, Rachel Hart got an extra point for having the fastest lap, so that was a big key in that race. If you remember, if you watched that first stream, Rachel knew that she didn't necessarily have an opportunity to pass Roman for the lead, so she actually backed off, ran a faster lap, set the fastest lap of the race, got the 2-point bonus. That'll bump her up into the fastest or the top of the leaderboard. So the same points will apply tonight. Everybody, you start with 15 points to the winner, and then you go down through the list, minus 1 point, and then you are going to get 1 point for pole position, which is going to be David Pons tonight. And then if you set the single fastest lap of the race, that could be at any point, you get an extra 2 bonus points. So the idea behind the bonus points is that we want to encourage the people who are maybe battery saving or people who are maybe trying to, I don't know, save some stamina that they go all out during the entire program. So. Then we got the car number 33, who's going to be Stitch. Let's update his name so we actually have him as Marshall Miller. Oh, our pit guys have already done that for us. I appreciate that. And he's always on his phone right before a race. Wonder where the concentration is. And then you got the number 19 machine there, which is who's going right in front of him. And that was where is the number 19? Jason Deal. He's going to actually he's qualified in the back of the pack, so he'll be starting in the back. Now, if you're new to the endurance race, let me outline a couple of the rules. There is a kart swap involved in this race. So originally, the kart was going to last the entire race. There's just a complexity to lithium batteries and making them last an entire 30 minutes. And we ran into a situation where the drivers weren't running as hard as they could. They were running too much conservative battery. So we've changed that layout to try to aid in making sure people race hard. So you have the option of pitting anytime during the race, and you do a kart swap by coming in, sitting in one of the rows, like the guys that where they're parked right now, and then they're going to jump to the kart right adjacent to them. It is a timed pit stop. They have 25 seconds to complete that, which is plenty of time. I mean, a typical driver can hop in and out of a cart, fasten the seatbelts, and get it going by about 20 seconds. So it gives you a little buffer so you can sit there, make sure you're buckled in tightly for safety reasons, and then you can reaccelerate out of the track. But again, the pit stop is a completely optional, or it's mandatory, but it's optional as far as when you serve it. So what we told the drivers is essentially you are guaranteed the car to last 20 minutes. So we don't want you to wait all the way till the very end of the race and try to pit like 1-2 laps to go, because that's not advisable for the batteries. And if you pit early, like way early in the race, that may also set you up for failure too, because your second car may not make it to the end of the race either. So it's really up to them. I mean, some guys will wait till the exact 15-minute mark. It'll be right in the middle of the race when they do their pit stops, and then we have other people who will be maybe going on either side of that. Now, a little bit of strategy involved in that. Because you are parking and sitting to the car adjacent to you, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't bring this up on the broadcast, but we've had some people who look at the cars that are available and make their pit stop according to what car is available. That's an option. I mean, we don't do anything to prohibit that, but it can be a risky strategy if somebody parks right in front of you. The other thing too with the pit stops is if we have 2 people in the pits, you are only guaranteed 2 timers at once. So if you're the third person, you're going to have to wait for that first person to leave the pits so that we can start a new timer for you. Because of this, the track marshals are going to be displaying a red flag in the pits if there are 2 drivers already in the pits. So that just eliminates some of the confusion or a third driver potentially coming in when they don't realize that other drivers are in the pits. And we try to just keep it to 2, and then they space each other out accordingly. A little bit of talk between the track marshals. I believe everybody's lined up. We're also going to do a standing start tonight. I'm checking some of our onboard cameras, and let's see, we have on board with PJ Mannypenny. Now, he was the first endurance champion. The very first year we ran this, he won that championship, and it was actually his daughter, Katie, we just mentioned a few minutes ago, who won the second series championship. So basically, the family owns it all right now. Switching on board to Will Nonamaker. He qualified in the number 5 position. Right in the middle of the pack. He's going to be starting right in front of PJ Mannypenny. Will Nonamaker, very experienced endurance racer, and we'll probably touch on some of his experience as the night progresses here. And let's check on this on board. Let me see who we've got here. On board with Roman Felber. Roman is on the number 3 machine, and he is starting 4th tonight. Roman actually started 3rd last time, so his qualifying efforts are very similar. But keep in mind that the first round of the championship was done on the indoor-outdoor track, and tonight is a little different because we're just circumventing the outdoor completely. Going to be a few more laps on the board tonight because you're doing such a short track. Also, the drivers tend to get a little bit more tired as they run through the race because they don't have that long outdoor stretch to run, which gives them a little bit of a break normally when we're doing the outdoor track. Tonight, it's just your typical indoor go-kart track, twisty, tiny turns as you try to maintain the entire 30 minutes. If you have a question, raise your hand. Number 4 of Brenson. Again, we're really happy to have these rookie drivers alongside us tonight. If you followed us on social media, you may have seen a post that I made about the rookie series, and we had some feedback from other racers who said, well, I would run such and such a series, name it, GP, Boost League, Endurance Series, but I don't think my times are fast enough. And that concerned me a little bit because if you're not coming to do races with the quote-unquote faster guys, then you may not be learning. So that's why we created the rookie classes, to try to bridge that gap and give people a chance to compete amongst other rookie drivers. Looks like we're also going to have an onboard with Rachel Hart, who's starting in 3rd in the number 12 machine. Jason's got some things situated, and he joins me back in the booth here. Good to have you back.
Yeah, just making sure everybody's all lined up. Cameras are good, and I think we're about ready to go. We're going to be pulling out of the pits here any second. Just had to confirm the rookie guys and a couple of things like that, but everybody's ready to go and ready to get out of the pits and have some fun. And Adam's going to pull the gate post and let them out. They're going to run around the track, get a feel for it, and start in their positions. So they drew for random carts. Did you already explain that?
Yes, we touched on that.
So they drew for random carts. So as they pull out, they'll all shuffle themselves into their starting positions and line up on the grid. And they will be going on the green lights. Fortunately, we have all these safety lights around the track, so no matter where you're at on track, you can see the lights. A little bit more efficient than flags, but do a combination of both, so make sure that everybody can see them. You see Rachel warming up her tires there, and she's probably going to pull over here, let people by real quick, and everybody will get started on their starting lines here.
Got to make sure that you let your fellow driver in front of you if you are starting towards the back here. No problem, says Marshall. I will pull gladly into my starting spot.
As he gets situated with phone in hand.
Yeah, I was commenting earlier, he's always got his phone right before he races, so.
Yep, you can see him sliding it into his back pocket there. One of these times he might lose it out of the cart, and then that would be all fun.
And does he have a seatbelt on yet?
No, he took his seatbelt off to get it into his pocket. So.
Now, if you're doing arrive and drive racing at K1 speed, just know that is not advised.
No.
Too many phones falling out on the track. We always remind people that you need to have them secured outside the car before you run.
There's been so many times I wish I had a rental camera on my cart because I'd see a phone come sliding out of the track or onto the track, and I would do like a 360 maneuver to slide the cart so the wheels wouldn't get it and go through it. And I look back, someone else just runs it over, and I'm like, I did all that effort for someone else to run it over. But yeah, definitely make use of the storage lockers here so you don't lose your stuff on track.
Yeah.
They're also on board with Roman Felber, so this will be a good one. Him starting in fourth. With Rachel, Marshall, and David in front of him, it's going to be a fun race up front. But even in the back, though, there's a backwards of David Ponce. This will be some good action shots here, I think. But even moving further back in the field, there are some really, really competitive racers back there. So
there are. And it's going to get really tight with just doing the indoor track. We'd love to see a full field, but obviously that means you're going to have a lot of traffic.
Yes. Yeah, the indoor track always makes it a little bit tighter. There's not as much room to breathe, I would say, relax. In the outdoor you have some straightaways where you can kind of, relax a little bit and traffic isn't as bad. But on the indoor, you just got to be cognizant of the racers around you. So that's what the blue flag is there to help remind people that that there is someone about to lap you if necessary. But other than that, it's safety rules. Don't T-bone someone, don't move a barrier to pass someone, but have fun and race hard.
Here's the other thing, too, is the starting grid is lined up around the corner. So
yeah,
hope you guys have fun starting in the roundabouts.
That's one of the things qualifying when you have a big field indoors is the starting position isn't on a straightaway, so you got to be pretty careful of that, I would say. You have a little bit slower of a start, but that's all right.
Especially on cold tires. So.
Yeah. Yeah, the single file starting format has helped the turn one merging quite a bit.
As we're on board with PJ, looking at a couple drivers right in front of us before we get started. We'll see the timer start right before the drop of the green flag to ensure they have 30 minutes of track time.
Yeah, there's also to ensure that people get a good race in. We've got some rules set up as the karts go, but Owen's going to fly the flag here in a second, so we can tell you about that in a little bit, just so that everybody gets a good fair chance at competing in the race in case there is a mechanical sometime during the race. But Owen's very organized, so he will make sure that.
Yeah, we want to make sure everything's in order before we start.
Yes, he will.
Sure. What will happen in round 2 of the Endurance Championship? Will we see a new leader emerge in the points, or will we see some of our rookies bring us to the front of the field? The lights are about to go green, and we're off.
Into turn 1 they go. David got a good jump on it. Rachel jumped up on Marshall too, so that was pretty good.
PJ Mannypenny, wow, look at the spot. He was really making a move through that first corner. Looks like he got a good jump on the start.
Looks like David's creating a little bit of a gap for himself up front, so that's a good thing. You've got Roman right on Rachel too, so this is going to be a train coming right for David. This will be interesting to see how it plays out and when these guys decide to pit.
They are bumper to bumper as they cross the timing line on the lap 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those cars there within tenths of a second of each other as we see a small gap between 4, 5, and 6.
I think Marshall's going to be looking for a move on David here pretty soon.
You're right on board with Roman Felber, who's trying to make his way up through the field as well. He's looking at the back of the number 12 machine, who is Rachel Hart.
Right on the bumper of Marshall like that. They're going to try and work together, take the inside of David here. And, oh, they got into it a little bit there.
Whoa, Roman going wide in that corner. Is he going to make the squeeze in 4? Nope, he's going to let Rachel take the line.
Yeah, Rachel and Marshall got into it and pushed each other ahead, and then he was able to capitalize on that a bit.
Look how close Marshall Miller is to David Pons. Even just a little bit of a line adjustment here. Oh, he's going to take the look on the inside. Not going to be able to take the pass. David's going to maintain the lead through turn 4.
That is a train
as
up
3,
there.
4, and 5 are all nose to tail going through the back, which is turn 5 back there.
And Marshall's probably going to try and get some speed on him and do the same move again, coming tight and go on the inside. Just like that.
Yep. Just like that, but David's going to have the line going into 2, so it just reverses.
Same with Roman to Rachel, exact same move. You got to be careful with that, though, because the person in front of you will shut that down in the next apex. So,
and the other thing to remember is there's a little bit of patience involved in this. You got another 28 minutes left on the clock. You don't want to make anything, an early move that's going to take you out of the race, put you in the back of the field.
Yep, it's always like this. The first few minutes, everybody's really hammered down to try to get their position. Then they start settling out a little bit, and hopefully some races are just like this the entire time. But
I noticed David just taking the inside line in turn 1 just to protect that.
It looks like he's going to ride the inside of a lot of these turns, just blocking Marshall from getting any ideas. Marshall's going to try and get him on the inside, but that got closed out quickly. Rachel was there to remind him that was a bad idea.
Looking back through the field, I noticed that Casey Wise, who just went purple, the 26.1, has moved up a spot. She started in 10th. Nolan Ryder, basically her and him swapping those spots. Wow, they're bumping as they come through 5. David's going to maintain his line as the pressure is on for spots 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, if any of them can create a little gap, it would be all right, but they're not working together. They're really racing each other hard.
Dominic trying to make a move there on Roman.
Ended up losing a position, I think, to PJ. Yeah, PJ got around him.
That's opportunity for him to squeeze through.
Roman got through on the inside again to get that position back.
Take him on the inside. We noticed with the Felber boys that they are definitely more used to looking backwards when they're driving because they're coming from the gas kart world, which we know is really common to look backwards. But you'll notice a lot of our indoor drivers don't do that as much. I've made comment about them driving with the eyes in the back of their head, and sometimes I wonder, situational awareness being good, does it cost them a little bit as far as their line?
I don't know. They might be getting used to it. It is tough. They always say that in driving school and that when you look somewhere, you're inevitably going to steer that way. So maybe it does. But these guys up front seem to be kind of getting the memo, work together a little bit, create a gap, and then go after each other. But Rachel's going to look on the inside here. We'll see. Marshall's going to shut her out, though.
Yeah, every time you take that line into 1 and it reverses into 2, it almost keeps you in the same spot both ways. Roman Felber going purple with a 26-0 in the 4th spot.
Yeah, the only hope you have in a move like that is if you've got the person behind you in the same mental space as you, and you're able to break on the inside, and they give you a little love tap just like that.
Just like that, but see, David's going to have the inside too, so as long as he breaks, and is somebody going to push? Yeah, PJ is going to push Roman wide.
Yep.
He is, and even though going sideways, PJ's going to be able to hold on to that spot as they go through 4.
And Dominic may be able to get him too from turning into him like that. You lose a lot of speed, so Roman with turning into that guy really, and he bounces out to pit.
Oh, so Roman's going to, both Cash and Roman both going to pit as they bump a few cones out of the way. Early pit stops within the first 5 minutes, so this is going to be key as far as the strategy goes. Don't make a guarantee that your car can last the 30 minutes, so you have to make sure that these batteries, you take care of them through the rest of the race. Otherwise, if you fall out, you're going to be limping back to the pits, and that's not going to be a good. Let's go back to the track here as we watch on board PJ Mannypenny. The field is open back up because the Felbers being in the pits as everybody's bumping through the corners. What a difference it's making with just running the indoor track tonight versus the outdoor last month. Your
pit stop strategy changes big time from indoor to outdoor. We were talking about that before the race, that you lose a lot more time on the indoor track because it's shorter, but everybody has the same disadvantage with that. And Marshall, again, trying that inside line, which gets shut out every time. So maybe he'll try something new, but I've seen him do it for a solid 5 minutes now.
That's going to be intense. We're only 5 minutes into the race now, and if you race the entire race like this, Good luck.
Yeah, you're using a lot of the kart energy. Like the Endurance series itself is to test the power of the karts and that. And yes, with the lithium batteries, you don't have that die-off. So as you warm up, the kart warms up, and your speeds stay consistent, if not faster, as you warm up. But if you're racing hard like this, you are using a lot more energy, and that really puts a risk if you want to try to drag that kart out to the 20-minute mark that we guarantee for a mechanical. Anytime after that,
it's up to you.
It's up to you. So,
which we know that so far the Felber boys are the only ones that are in that window.
Yep. With 3 minutes to go inside that 10-minute window, we'll see if anyone else decides to take a risk on it.
Keep in mind that if there's a mechanical failure throughout the race, we see some bumping going on back there with the 4th and 5th plates. We'll come back to that in a second. Keep in mind, if there is mechanical throughout the race, you do get a kart swap. So the race does have to stop, and you are allowed to get a different kart if something breaks on the car or whatever. It's arrive and drive racing. So the cool thing about it is you show up, and we give you the car. The downside of that is if something happens to the car, we have to stop and give you new equipment because you're not in charge of maintaining it.
Correct. There was a really good view right there as we rode on board with David as to what the downside of that is. And here comes some lap traffic there. They're just going to put
a little intense on the bumping there.
Nudge him out of the way,
I'd say that was more than a nudge. I think he just ran that wide, but I don't know if he was being malicious about it.
But yeah, it was a good real-time picture of exactly this here. If you take that outside line like that, it just gets immediately shut on you no matter how much you try. So it's better to work with the person behind you to create a little momentum to get around that person if you can. That is just a train of cars as I see Katie coming into the picture in the back here. She's working that gap backwards, and I think once she sees a gap in front of her, she's going to eat that up and try to get up there.
She's doing the exact same thing she did last month. She started in the back of the pack, and she moved her way up to 4th, and then this time starting in 10th, she's now in 6th, so moving up 4 spots. And all in less than 10 minutes. Great drive from Katie so far.
Yeah, she's already back on the bumper of Dominic there, so she caught right back up. We'll see if anybody teams up here just to get a little momentum to get around some people. But that's exactly what I was talking about.
Move. Marshall makes the move on David and gets him in turn 2.
Just a little push from Rachel there gets him around, and then I know Rachel's going to be kind of cooking to make that. We'll see if PJ helps her out just to get around David to go get Marshall, because Marshall may create a little gap here.
I think he's already checked out. Look, half a lap, and we're seeing that the pace is picked up.
Yep, and Rachel's under a lot of pressure from PJ and Dominic back there, so hopefully she gets a little move on it because David has already got a gap. He's after Marshall up there, but Marshall seems to be, like you said, checking out a little bit.
Dominic hanging on to the number 5 spot. That's great to see from one of our rookie drivers. I looked at his profile here for K1 Speed to see how much he's raced here, and only a few races. That's a hard slam.
That is shut out. Oh, my goodness. That is a line call. If you take that inside and you don't brake on that, that is not your line, so that wall is not going to move for you. So that was a bad decision from her than to not break out of that, but she's going to give it right back to Dominic. And that's actually Katie right there. Katie got in front of Rachel as well.
Yeah, that's Katie in the number 36, who's now in front of Rachel as they come across the line.
And looks like Will Nonamaker may be pitting.
Rachel obviously frustrated with that move, throwing up her hands across the front.
Yeah, that is a tough call. That inside line is one that if you see a wall coming up at you and you have someone next to you and they're already on the racing line, you do have to break out of that. The positive is you can be on the giving end of that move, though. So it goes both ways. So people get frustrated when it goes one way, but then they do it the other way. So it's a tough one. But
got a couple guys who are pitting. Looks like Will Nonamaker is making his swap now. We're counting down the 25-second mark. And launch he goes. Exit of the pits. We'll have an electronic meter here as he launches back into the field.
Looks like he's going to come in behind Cash there, which the whole field will be swapped up by the time everybody does their pits, because you do lose a bit of time in the pits with the indoor track. So the people down at the bottom, if they drive a good, consistent, clean race, they may wind up at the top here.
I believe Will Nonamaker was making that. All right, Rachel's going to make a pit. She wanted to make sure she got past that 10-minute mark, probably for a kart swap, just throwing her hands up probably in frustration, probably not agreeing with the handling on that car. See what she can do. We'll switch back to David Pons, who is under intense heat from PJ Manipenny, who just went purple on his last lap of a 25.6. The number 22 machine right on the bumper of 17. Just pushing him down the straight finish.
Yeah, PJ is a
on the inside.
Great endurance racer. He really handles the kart very smooth. He can get a lot of power out of an endurance race, just being consistent. So there he goes, looking on the inside. Well, that's lap traffic there.
Number 14 of Jason just trying to hang on there. Understood that if it's a difficult race to run, that we certainly want him to hang in there, even if that means being lapped.
Yeah, and it is the rookie class there, so there may be a couple breakout rookies, but you know,
yeah, you're here competing for points, and at the end of the year, the points are going to matter regardless of where you finish.
Correct.
In this particular race.
Yep. So if you come back again, you do really well in the next rookie, you could be very well in the running for the rookie championship.
Yeah, I think that's an important note to make. Is we run this race based on signups, so it really is up to the drivers to come every month. There's no commitment or requirement for them to show up every month. It's if they want to keep in the points, obviously they're going to run, but it is up to them whether they run again.
PJ is looking for a way around David here.
We're actually going to switch from Will Nonamaker, who has a great view of both of those guys in the battle that's on.
And Marshall's pitting.
Yeah, we're going to have Marshall pitting here as well. I was just about to say that's pretty early in the pit stops, but we are bordering here on the 15-minute mark, so we're not quite halfway. But those who are pitting now aren't necessarily early.
Yeah, right on cue. I'd say 15 to 18-minute mark, and we do have stacking pits here, so they will be waiting the 30 seconds each.
Yep.
As Marshall exits.
I believe the car numbers are already switched, so that's why if you're looking at the scoreboard, you're going to see those car numbers are switched as we watch the battle between David and PJ still on track.
Katie tucked in right behind PJ.
Daughter Katie up there. I don't believe we've seen Katie in the pits yet. I don't believe PJ has. Actually, all three of these guys, yeah, definitely not. That's why they're up at the top of the field. Makes sense.
There's no love lost. You can see with the racing with Katie and her dad, PJ, there. Katie will try to get around PJ no matter what.
Even if it's dad, you still try to pass him.
That's it.
Every point matters.
I think she imagines like me on the back of the helmet of whoever's in front of her. We've had some really good competitive races together.
Yeah, we've touched on that before. If you guys have joined us, Jason used to run in the endurance leagues, and it didn't matter the week or who was running. It would him and her would always end up together.
Yeah.
I mean, he could start in the back, she could start in the front. Somehow by the end of the race, they'd be racing nose to tail for some reason, whether it was difficulties with handling or driver, anything. I don't know. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. She's a very, very competitive racer. So like we said, there's no love lost between her and whoever's in front of her. She will try to get around you, and I appreciate that about someone who races. Here's PJ on the inside. There you go. PJ moves to the first position when we get around the timing line, unless he decides to pit this lap.
And David Pons just continuing to be under attack as he's going to pit as well. Right at the 15-minute mark. So not sure what that was his strategy, or he just decided he would run it halfway. 25 seconds is what he's got from the time the car stops to the time that he's allowed to leave the pits. So the pit worker is going to be timing 25 seconds there. Not allowed to leave until 25 seconds. Should be more than enough time to get safely in the car, buckle down, adjust your pedals, and get back out on the racetrack.
Yeah, and looking at the scoreboard here, PJ, Katie, and Dominic, I believe, are the last three not to pit. So like I said, the people that were running in the back there are moving their way up as everybody has to take the same disadvantage of pitting for 30 seconds. There's a good battle going on here with Rachel. Looks like she's going to go to the inside unless that's a lap traffic.
Rachel scored in the number 7 spot. I was looking to see what the timing was going to be with David Pons, who just rounded around corner 2. and he's now going to be behind Cash Felber in the number 9 machine. So PJ and Katie and Dominic, I believe, is our last people who have not pitted yet. Everybody on down from 4th has made their kart swap.
Yep, and something to keep in mind, too, with Cash and Roman coming in before the 10-minute mark is if they don't make it all the way, they are going to have to pit again if their kart dies because they took the early pit before 10-minute mark.
And in limp mode, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so the field doesn't stop, but your kart does go into limp mode, speed 2, so you have to work your way around the track and make it back to the pits to swap your kart out.
And that takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
The reason it's limp mode is because that's just the default speed the car turns back on at. So if you lose battery power, your car comes back on what we call speed 2, and that way the track workers don't have to do anything. You're just automatically given speed so you can get back. As PJ's going to make a pit stop here, Katie's going to take the lead, at least for the lap.
Yeah, Katie and Dominic staying out. They are 2 minutes away from the 20-minute mark here, or 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So they are probably going to drag this out almost all the way to the end of it, I believe. Katie probably wanted that position, and we'll see where they wind up in the pack here. It seems like everybody, if you've been watching the pit stops, as they pit, they drop down quite a bit and then, work their way up. So maybe pitting early on was definitely a move. Cash in 7th right now, though, and Roman in 4th. Those were the first 2 guys to pit, so we'll see how that works out. And Dominic looks like got around Katie.
Well, Dominic was ahead, and yeah, Katie just moved way up from the back, I believe.
Gotcha.
So, but Dominic still be our last person who is yet to pit. It's going to be interesting to see where they sort out after that pit stop. That's why we're following along with David Pons to see what spot he filters out at.
Roman looks like made a move on Marshall around the line there.
And there we go. We got Dominic in the pits right now. There's the last car in his multicolored helmet. We just caught a glimpse of him in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. That'll be the last car to get pit stop. So let's see how he does. Tristan sends him on. Electronics will take care of the speed increase from there.
Looks like Rachel's got her hands full with Cash right behind her. I saw her Cash dive in the inside a couple of times on her. So, and she's got Marshall up ahead there in. That was a rough move.
Yeah, David looked like he was willing to take the outside and cut in early, but
Katie didn't let him have it.
Katie just took turn 4 super tight, so. So at this point, I believe all of our pit stops have been completed.
Yes.
Yes, Jason?
Yep.
Okay, so that puts Rowan in the legitimate lead of this race. Oh, they're going to push sideways. He's telling her, get up there, take that spot back. He's just trying not to lose momentum when he goes through that corner.
Looks like Rachel's, so that lap traffic doing a little bit of work for Marshall there gives Rachel a little bit of an advantage to get around.
Absolutely. As she rounds 5 and 6, we see her scored in the 3rd spot.
So she's going after 2nd here, and Roman is out of picture there, already going through the other turns 3, 4, so he's got a little bit of a gap on them.
David Pons also battling it out with Katie. It kind of looks like Jason and Katie on track. It's about what the battle looks like.
That's, yeah.
You quarter of a cart way up. Can you take the corner? Nope.
Sure.
Button it down. Yeah. With you guys, it would be sure. Take a look on the inside. Is it enough?
Oh,
he's just
got her. We'll call it half a cart. I'm sure they know each other very well as well, so I'm sure they were just giving it to each other a little bit.
The pace was definitely there from David. That's why he kept giving her that spot.
Yep.
We'll see what the gap ends up being as we switch back to PJ so that we can see, yeah, he's pulled out quite a gap. Katie not having as as good a luck on this first stint as her second stint, where she was just moving up.
Yeah, it seems like she's just a little bit tad slower on this one.
But part of the challenge is how can you adapt to the car that you're given. It was smarter for her to stay out there for as long as possible. Marshall Miller just went purple with a 25.6, so we're not really in the mid-25s yet, but we're definitely on pace for what we see on the indoor.
No, and Roman being a little less than a second off pace of the two behind him. You've got 8 minutes left, and that can sort out quite a bit. In Rachel and Marshall's time, that gap has stayed pretty consistent, minus the lap traffic that they're dealing with, but they might have a chance of catching up with them.
As we watch the overhead shot now, let's just check and see where the gaps are.
There's Roman going through 2, and Marshall, and then Rachel behind. So Roman's made it around, that would be Will Nonamaker there, and then Marshall and Rachel following close behind, but they're all running they swap lap for lap times almost, so unless one of them starts slowing down or that lap traffic starts getting in the way, I don't know, the gap could remain the same. But mistakes happen. It's endurance. You get tired doing it. And also, to keep in mind, Roman and Cash both pitted before 10 minutes. So if their cart goes down,
exactly,
that is easy position gain for Marshall and Rachel there.
Now we do have the possibility that those cars will last. It's definitely doable, but it's just a matter of the rules say that if you're gonna do that early, you run the risk of running out of juice before the end of the race.
Looks like Marshall's starting to gain a little bit on Will there, so that'll be the next lapper that they have to contend with.
Looks like David Pons is fighting for his life here too. They had somebody up on the left-hand side of him, which I believe was Katie Wise. Did she regain the gap? No, I believe that's
PJ.
Sorry, that's PJ. Not sure if maybe that was a lap car I saw on the side of Pons. Dominic D'Angelo just holding on to that 4th spot. Doing a great job here. Definitely the top rookie driver of the night so far. He started in 5th, so he's gained a spot, held on through all this traffic and chaos that's been happening at the front of the field, and running great lap times. We saw a little bit of ping pong action in front of Will Nonamaker. I think that was Rachel in the 24.
Yeah, there was a point by there, which was awfully nice. They both waved at each other. Will's a very, very good endurance driver as well. He actually races endurance series in cars. So he's a very, very intelligent driver. He has a very good wherewithal of what's going on around him. So if he knows he's not running as fast as you, he will definitely give you a nice point by, just so you don't run him into a wall or something by accident. But really, really nice guy to race with there. And you can see Rachel already breaking that gap down between himself and her.
And I think in some respects, Will runs this to maintain the mental focus of it. He does it for training.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he runs the big boy cars on big tracks, and this is a smaller venue by far for him, but it's still the same mental aspect of maintaining a 30-minute race can apply any racer.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen him across different endurance series, even the gas carts and stuff that we've run before, and very, very consistent. This Team Salem, very just consistent family-oriented team, and they have a lot of fun doing it. But when it comes to karts, he's always said it's a challenge. It's a very, it's manual steering in power, no power brakes, so it's something to keep your focus up.
No power anything. David Pons is now fighting some other lap traffic. Really, the person in contention in front of him is going to be Cash Felber. You'll recognize him because he's got a green helmet, super bright green. But this is 26 of Nolan Ryder. We haven't talked a lot about him tonight, but he actually leads the rookie standing so far. Now we've only in one race, one round, but hanging in there like a champ. And running 27.2s.
Exactly, yeah.
Even with 5 minutes to go, we're very impressed.
Yeah, if you look down the board at some of the times, you're not far off, and some of these rookies they've dropped significant time. So the endurance race is a great way to kind of get into a groove, learn the line, get a little bit faster, run with people that may be a little bit faster than you, but we definitely will show you the line and how to get get moving so you're faster. It's always better to race when you're having fun and you're moving fast, and we definitely want to get you there. So we're going to have Marshall and Roman getting into big lap traffic here, which closes Rachel up on the back of him. Marshall's going to try and take the inside look here on Roman, and Roman's probably going to squeeze him out.
Yep, it's that typical 1-2 complex. But somebody takes the inside, and then you end up reversing in 2.
Boy, when you get into lap traffic, though, it is a variable that you cannot control sometimes. So
it is a great test of your driving skills.
It is. You might have someone back up in front of you, and that opens up a spot for the person behind you to push by. So you got to be careful in lap traffic here. Katie leading it with PJ behind her, and Roman going to take a
he's really going to push the issue there.
And that's Rachel's little bump to get Marshall by. Oh, boy.
Roman just is not waiting around.
That's exactly it. Marshall just made that move like that.
And Marshall capitalizes. What are they going to do in 4?
Oh, squeezes him
Marshall's going to have the inside line going into the back of 5.
Rachel behind him. Good move. Really good move. And Roman gets squeezed out there and bumped into 3rd. That's
going to change your top 3 as they come across the timing line with 3 minutes remaining.
Marshall, Rachel, and Roman. Boy, that is a change.
What a battle for the lead at this point.
Rachel's going to try and hug the inside and push him right back out.
And what are they going to do through 4? Roman's going to have the line here. Rachel's just making sure she doesn't lose ground. Obviously key. You don't want to lose your momentum going into any of those corners. So not necessarily you want to hit somebody or run next to them. It's just you don't want to lose track space.
And they need to work together to keep Marshall in their sights, because otherwise Marshall will check out, and Rachel's going to do that same move that gets squeezed out. But she's going to hope for the inside of this turn here.
We're going to ride on board here with Rachel so we can see a better perspective. Obviously, early on in the race, she was a little frustrated with traffic and other cars or whatever the situation was. Much happier, I think, this half of the race. Just remember that the white flag is going to drop at the expiration of time, so we have to run all the 30 minutes, and then we're going to run 1 lap after that.
Rachel's going to really try to get momentum on that inside. She likes swinging out like that on that turn to try to squeeze as much power as she can to get on the inside, but
as now Marshall Miller is checked out, we got at least 6 to 7 car lengths in between him and Roman Felber between 1 and 2. And I think I was going to say PJ has a good view of this, as he's basically a lap down, but he's basically watching the battle right in front of him. Oh, she's gonna squeeze Roman.
If she can get that momentum, she's all right.
What will they do in 4? He's going to squeeze her out, and then Roman's going to maintain the position. That's the trade-off in between 3 and 4. Good defensive driving by both drivers.
And this is one of those situations with PJ behind Rachel. If they stack up like that more, you have the same problem that they ran into that switched those positions around to begin with, is that traffic behind you has momentum to push you around, you slowing the person up in front of you you're trying to get around, so it may shuffle from here still.
As we're now just under 1 minute remaining, we check the overall view of all these cars. 13 cars on track tonight. Great turnout for our second round of the Endurance Championship. Rachel just went purple, so now that she's got...
Rachel did this last race. She knew that she wasn't going to get first, and she allowed herself some time, some room between people to step back and get the fastest lap, because that does count as an additional point. So
it does, and it was so critical to her getting the lead of the championship so far, but she's been so close to Roman. I don't know if she got to back out or not.
I don't think she did. I think she just wants that position back at this point.
And who wouldn't if you were in Rachel's position? Rachel starting in 3rd, still maintaining that spot throughout this entire race.
And Marshall has sincerely checked out. That gap between them is big now. Marshall crosses the line for the white flag at...
Yeah, look at the gap that they've run. I hear a little bit of crunching of cars. I think that was Cash. Sorry, a little...
That might have been Will and Cash getting into it back there.
Yeah, I think that was a battle between lap traffic, and I don't know if Cash was just frustrated with that move or tapping his helmet or what, but that wasn't a spot for position. As we follow along, and there's a checkered flag for Marshall Miller, who's going to take the second round of the Endurance League, followed by 2nd and 3rd of Roman Felber and Rachel Hart. All these drivers finishing in the mid-25-second lap times. Dominic D'Angelo just holding on to that 4th spot the whole race. What a great result from him. Cash Felber in 5th. And then we go on down through your top 10, David, PJ, Katie, and Will. Katie and PJ having a lot of paddles there towards the end.
Yes, they were. They were tied up in some traffic for a little bit at the end, and then just got into it with each other. But that last big group of lap traffic really did it in for everybody.
All right, we got to try something here. So, Jason, we're going to send you down to the pits, and we're going to see if we can get some interviews with some of these drivers to find out what's going on. Let's try to see if we can find out some of the stories behind this. Oh, as we see competitive hugs from the uncle, Marshall, and Roman Felber. First and second position. Apologies for the difficulties there. We're trying to figure out why Jason's camera was not giving us audio, but yeah, that's probably my fault. I apologize. Well, we certainly want to appreciate thank you guys for following along. This was the second race of the 6-month championship, so we have lots more racing to go. We're going to be back on the 3rd week of the month, and I shouldn't be listening to the stream. And we will get our point standings posted to the website so you guys can see where the points stand. Great race tonight. We appreciate everyone being involved. And for the great K1 staff here in Canton, and for Jason, my name is James, and we appreciate you guys following. We'll see you next month.